Wow! This is the cockpit, and all of these buttons, dials and lights, they're the instruments that help the pilot to fly the plane. There are so many of them, aren't there? This is so exciting. I'm sat in the captain's seat. These levers here are called the thrust levers, and they make the plane go faster or slower. And this here is called the side stick. This turns the plane left or right, up or down. And if the pilot needs to move the plane when it's on the ground or stop it, they'll use these foot pedals down here. It all looks really complicated, doesn't it? To find out how an aeroplane takes off and lands, I think we need a closer look.
When the aeroplane is ready to take off, the pilot pushes the thrust levers forward, making the engines speed up. The aeroplane travels faster and faster along the runway. The wings have a special curved shape called an aerofoil. The air that flows over the top of the wing moves faster than the air which moves underneath the wing. And this creates a force called lift. The lift helps the aeroplane up and off the ground. To land the aeroplane, the pilot pushes the side stick forward, which tilts the elevator on the back of the aeroplane down. This makes the nose of the plane point downwards. The pilot moves the thrust levers back. This slows down the engines. Flaps on the wings are then flicked up to slow down the air that's flowing over the wings. The wheels are put into position, and when the plane lands on the runway, the pilot presses the brakes and the plane comes to a stop.
This is where pilots come to practice flying aeroplanes. But can you see any aeroplanes? Pilots learn to fly in these pods called flight simulators.
They look just like the cockpits on real planes, but these ones are just for practice.
Now this is the really fun part. I get to join Bridget, a pilot, and watch her practice at takeoff and landing.
The windows are actually video screens to show us what flying the plane would look like in real life.
Okay, Bridget, we're ready for takeoff. The first thing Bridget does is push the thrust levers forward, and that powers the engines, which make the plane move forward and get faster and faster. Here we go. You can hear the engines. We're getting faster and faster, and when the time is right, Bridget pulls back on the side stick, and that lifts the nose of the plane into the air. And here we go. We're taking off into the air. It feels like we're actually flying. I'm wearing my special head camera so you can see what the pilot sees when they're landing a plane. Wow, we are so high up. When the plane is in the sky, Bridget uses the side stick to turn the plane to the left or to the right, up or down. But right now, we're getting ready to land. Here we go. Bridget gently pushes the side stick forward to make the elevator at the back of the plane tilt down, which makes the nose of the plane dip down. The houses on the ground are getting bigger and bigger, which means the plane is getting lower and lower to the ground. Ooh, we're getting closer. Now, Bridget is pulling the thrust lever backwards, and that will slow the power to the engines, which slows the plane down. And then Bridget uses the foot pedals that will brake and slow down the plane on the ground. And we've landed. That was brilliant. I loved seeing how an aeroplane takes off and lands. What was your favourite bit about finding out how an aeroplane works?
Do you remember what the lever was called that steers the aeroplane? That's right, it's called a side stick. Did you hear the sound in the simulator when the engine started to speed up? And did you see all those buttons and levers in the aeroplane cockpit?
Aeroplanes are really good at moving us between places that are far apart. But when we only need to go short distances, we can walk, or sometimes we might run. Do you know what we have to wear when we go on a walk or a run outdoors? Safely. That's right, it was wrapped in this, where they're kept in this massive storeroom. So, what do we need? We need lots of little lights called LED lights. And these do all of the flashing. And then we need a circuit board. And a circuit board controls when and how often the lights flash. And to connect the lights to the circuit board, we need lots of colourful cables. And then we're going to need some of these. These are called lenses. They act a little bit like a lid for the lights. And finally, to put everything together, we need lots and lots of screws.
First, the base is cut out from a sheet of metal called aluminium. This is then put with all of the parts onto a mini train until it reaches the workstation. And this is where the emergency warning light is put together. And this is Mick. He's going to be making one for us today. First, Mick gets the base ready and starts to assemble the parts. Next, Mick screws all of the LED flashing lights into the right place using something called a pneumatic screwdriver. Can you hear the sound of the pneumatic screwdriver? What do you think it sounds like? I think it sounds angry. It's time for Mick to wire all the LED lights, but there is a lot of wiring to be done and it can take a long time. So I'm going to use my special camera to film something called a time lapse. And that means when we watch this back, we can see things happening a lot quicker. There are 15 different cables to put in. I think they look a bit like colourful spaghetti. Wasn't that brilliant? Now all the cables are in place, it's time to plug in the circuit boards. A circuit board is like a mini computer and it sends a message to the LED lights to tell them when to flash. And they're connected by these wires. Mick has given me special permission to help him plug one of the wires in. We're nearly finished. Just need to put the lenses on the top, like a lid. The last workstation is really important because it's where the emergency warning lights are tested to make sure they're working properly. Ready, Mick? Here we go. Look, they're working. Oh, they look great, don't they? What colours can you see? There's blue, red, and white. Thank you. Right, let's get this fixed onto the top of our police car. The lights have to be screwed in place and then wired into the police car's electrics. In total, it takes about 7 hours. And there you have it, a finished police car with brand new emergency warning lights. And I've got special permission to switch them on. Wow,
Looks like everything's working properly. Don't they look brilliant? I loved seeing how emergency warning lights are made from all those small parts. What was your favourite bit?
Can you remember the name of the mini computer that controls the flashing lights? That's right, it's called a circuit board. Did you hear the buzzing sound the pneumatic screwdriver made? And did you see what colours the emergency lights were? They were blue, red,
Safely. That's right, it was wrapped in this.
when to stop and when it's safe to go. Do you know what colour means stop? That's right, it's red. Can you see? The traffic light is red now. But what do you think happens next? It's changing colour. Look, the traffic light turned green, and green means that it's safe to go. And there, off goes the traffic. But did you notice another colour? That's right, in between the red and the green, there's an amber light. The amber light tells you to get ready to stop or get ready to go. So how do the traffic lights change to keep the traffic flowing so that all the cars can get to where they're going? Come with me. This is a traffic control centre, and it's where traffic lights are controlled and monitored in a city centre.
Look at all of these screens showing roads and traffic lights and junctions. It's so busy, and there are so many roads. Traffic lights are controlled by computers, and the computer tells each traffic light how long it needs to be red, when to change to amber, and how long it needs to be green. It's called the traffic lights cycle. But what is a traffic light cycle, and how does it work? I think we need to take a closer look.
At a junction, there is a set of traffic lights for each road. The roads coming from the left and right see a red light, so they have to wait. Traffic coming from the top and bottom roads see a green light at the same time. That means it's safe for them to go. The traffic can go straight ahead or turn left. It can also turn right, but it has to wait until the traffic coming in the opposite direction has passed and it's safe to turn. Next, the lights on the roads going from the top to bottom turn amber, then red to make the traffic stop. Then the cars travelling on the road going across see red and amber, then turn to green, so it's their turn to go. They can now drive straight on, go left, or wait to turn right. And the whole cycle starts again to keep the traffic flowing nicely all day long.
Wow, it's really clever, isn't it?
Shall we see how a junction works from up high?
I've got my special steady camera, and a steady camera means that the picture will be smooth and steady even when I put the camera high in the air.
Oh, that is so high! Look at the junction all the way down there.
Can you see the traffic moving up and down the road? That's because their traffic light is on green. Ah, now look. The traffic going up and down has now stopped because their traffic light has turned red. So now it's the turn of the traffic going across the junction. That means their light has turned from red to red and amber and then green. Away they go. That was brilliant. Now, let's have a go at driving through the junction. First, I'm going to drive straight on across the junction. I've put a special camera on the front of the car so we can see more clearly. The lights have turned red, which means we need to stop. And now the lights are green, which means I can go ahead safely. This time, I'm going to turn left at the junction. The light is green, so I can go. OK, last go. Let's make a right turn. Remember, before turning right, I have to wait until there's no traffic coming from the opposite direction. Seeing how traffic lights work was really fun, wasn't it? What was your favourite part? Do you remember what the place is called where two roads meet? That's right, it's called a junction. Did you hear the sound of all the traffic at the junction? And did you see the amber light as the traffic lights changed from green to red?
Arrived safely. That's right, it was wrapped in this.
The lift, which floor to go to pick us up.
On the wall of the lift car, there are buttons that show us the different floors that we can travel to. When I press the button, the lift doors will close. Like that. Down we go. Oh, looking over the edge makes me feel a bit wobbly. If we look here at the screen, this tells us which floor we're on. 2, 1, and go for ground floor. The lift doors open and we can get out. That was great. We travelled to the ground floor really quickly. But how does the lift car go up and down? I think we need to take a closer look.
Inside the lift shaft, the lift car hangs on steel ropes fixed by an anchor. The steel ropes go over a wheel called a sheave. Hanging from the other end of the steel ropes is a heavy weight called a counterweight. The counterweight weighs almost the same as a lift full of people. When we want the lift car to go up, an electric motor turns the sheave wheel. As the sheave wheel turns, it moves the steel ropes, lowering the counterweight. As the counterweight moves down, the lift moves up to the top. When we want the lift to go down, the sheave wheel moves in the opposite direction. The steel ropes pull the counterweight up, and the lift travels downwards to the bottom.
That's really clever, isn't it? Shall we see all of those parts working for ourselves?
Chris is the lift engineer. He's lowered the lift car and given me special permission to go on top of it, so we can see the parts more clearly.
Can you see the steel ropes are fixed to that metal beam above my head? And the steel ropes are really thick and strong. Well, they come down to the top of the lift car, where they then wrap under the sheave wheels.
The ropes go through the roof of the lift car and over to the other side, where they're fixed to a pulley.
But how does the lift car know when to stop? On the top of each lift car, there's something called a sensor just here. And the sensor sends an invisible light between these 2 points. It's called infrared light.
This infrared beam of light is broken each time the lift car moves to a new floor by a piece of metal called a floor vane.
And each floor vane has a slightly different pattern depending on which floor we're on.
This tells the lift car which floor is which, so it knows when to stop. I'm setting up my special cameras so we can see how all these parts work together when the lift is moving.
All set and ready to go, and Chris has given me special permission to go up and down on top of the lift car. And down we go. The sheave wheels are turning and the steel ropes are lowering the lift car down the lift shaft. This is so much fun. We're going to the ground floor, so the sensor on the top of the lift car is looking for the floor vane with a pattern that matches the ground floor.
And look, there it is now. The floor vane has moved through the sensor to break the infrared light.
Wow, that was brilliant. Can we go back up again?
Certainly can.
Now we're going back up. Let's see if we can see the counterweight as it passes the lift car. Look, there it is. Wow, the counterweight is that huge metal silver block, and it moves down as the lift moves up. And it weighs about 1.5 times this lift car. It's really heavy. Did you hear that sound? That was the noise of the motor stopping. It was braking, telling the lift to stop. I loved seeing how a lift works. What was your favourite bit?
Do you remember the name of the wheel that the steel ropes go over? That's right, it's called a sheave wheel. Did you hear the clicking sound the motor made when the lift car stopped? And did you see the metal counterweight as it passed by the lift car?
Safely. That's right, it was wrapped in this.
And this one has one at the top and two at the bottom. And this middle part here is called the chamber.
The chamber is very deep. It would be dangerous to get too close to the edge.
And it's in the chamber where the narrowboat can travel up or down. But before we jump on board, I think we need to take a closer look at how a lock works.
When a narrowboat wants to travel downhill, it reaches the lock gate. In the lock gate below is a little door called a paddle. The paddle is opened by turning a special handle called a windlass. The water from above rushes into the chamber below and it fills up. When the level of the water in the chamber is at the same level as the water above, the lock gates are pushed open using a big arm called a balance beam. The paddles are wound down and the boat glides through into the chamber. And the lock gates are closed behind it. Next, the paddle in the lock gate at the other end of the chamber is opened. This makes the water rush out, a bit like going down a plug hole, and the boat gets lower and lower. When the level of the water is at the same on both sides, the balance beam is pushed to open the gate. And the boat moves through and on its way.
Isn't that clever? I'd like to see it all working for real though, would you? This is John and he's our skipper. He's going to be driving the narrowboat through the lock today.
First, I'm opening up the paddle, the little trapdoor at the bottom of the lock gate, which lets the water in. And I'm using the special handle called the windlass.
It's actually quite hard work. Wow!
The chamber needs to fill all the way up to the same level as our boat.
There we go, the chamber is full of water and you can see it's at the same level as the canal where our narrowboat is, which means we can open the lock gate. I thought it would be really heavy, but actually I can get a good grip with my feet. There we go, that's the gate open. Time to get on the boat.
I'm being extra careful as boats can be wobbly. Once the boat is in the chamber, the lock gates can be closed.
We're nearly ready to go and I'm going to use my special camera on a long pole so that you can come on board and travel down the lock with me. But first, the lock keepers, Steve and Jill, need to open the paddles at this end,
so that the water in the chamber flows out.
Wow! We're actually moving down really quickly. Bye! Whilst we're just going down the lock, let's go to the other end of the boat to see what it looks like from the captain's point of view. Wow! Look at that! Can you see all of the water? At the moment, the water is gushing out of the chamber so that the boat is at the same level over that side. Right, let's go back through. When you're down here and the chamber's empty, you can really see just how enormous the lock gates are. And I can't wait for them to open to reveal a whole new part of the canal. Whoa! The gates are open. We can continue on down the hill. Absolutely brilliant. What did you like most about seeing how canal locks work?
Do you remember the name of the special handle? That's right, it's called a windlass. Did you hear the sound of the water gushing in? And did you see the way the boat got lower and lower as the water rushed out of the chamber?
Safely. That's right, it was wrapped in this.
Which route a train will take is this section here called the points.
It's a piece of the tracks that can move from one side to another, and they're moved by this. It's called a rod.
The rod is connected to this hut, called a signal box.
And it's where the signalman controls the tracks.
To control the tracks, he moves signals like this, which tell the train driver whether it's safe to go, a bit like traffic lights.
But I think we need to take a closer look.
Inside the signal box are lots of levers, which pull the rods and wires that run alongside the track. First, the signalman pulls the black lever. This changes the points on the track from one side to the other. Then the blue lever is pulled. This stops the points from changing while the train is moving across. Finally, the red lever is pulled. This lowers the signal, which means the train can travel safely ahead. The train driver sees the lowered signal, so can carry on going, on to a different track.
It's really clever, isn't it? I'd love to see a junction working, though, would you? Let's go take a look inside this signal box. Wow, look at all of the levers. Can you guess how many there are?
There are 37 of them.
There are red ones, white ones, black ones, and even blue ones. This is Andy, and he's the signalman. And it's Andy's job to pull the right levers at the right time and tell the train drivers when it's safe to go. So how does Andy know which lever to pull when? Up here is a map of the train tracks, and it tells Andy which lever controls which point and signal on the tracks.
While Andy changes the levers, he's given me permission to go to the closed part of the track to see how he sets a path for the train.
Can you see here? This is the rod, which is connected to the black lever in the signal box. And the rod is connected to the track points. Here, can you see? I wonder what will happen when Andy pulls a lever in the signal box. And because he's so far away, I'm going to talk to Andy using a walkie-talkie radio. Okay, here goes. Hello, Andy, this is Maddie. Can you move the points, please? Here we go.
That's no problem. I can move the points now.
Thank you, Andy. Did you see that? That was so exciting. Andy pulled the black lever and the points moved, so the train can get onto the right tracks to go in the right direction. Andy, can you pull the blue lever to lock the points, please?
I can do that now.
Wow, did you see that?
Finally, Andy is going to reopen the train tracks so the trains can run again. I need to get safely off the track and onto the footbridge so he can lower the signals. There are two signals, one further up the track and this circular one next to the points. Andy pulls one red lever for each signal.
Right, let's see the train drive over the points. Here comes the train.
I've put my special camera on the front of the train so we can see exactly how it changes tracks.
Did you hear that? Wow. There we go. How brilliant was that? The train moved on to the other track. Hi! That was all so much fun. What was your favourite bit about seeing how train tracks work?
Do you remember what you call the section of track that moves? That's right, it's called the points. Did you hear the sound from the train whistle? And did you see both the signals change on the track?
Arrived safely. That's right, it was wrapped in this.
The computer in the car wash can tell where the car is by using special sensors called photocells. They're a bit like the car wash's eyes. The sensor sends an invisible beam of light called infrared from one side of the car wash to the other. When a car drives into the right position, it breaks the beam. The sensor sends a message to the computer and the red light tells the driver to stop. The computer switches on the washer and moves it down the tracks until it reaches the place where the car broke the beam. The jet sprays out soap and water. The brushes have different sensors inside too. They tell the computer when the brushes are pushing against the car. A drying machine moves over the car in exactly the same way as the brushes because the computer has memorised the shape of the car. When the car is dry, the computer changes the red stoplight to a green light and the clean car is ready to be driven away.
It's really clever, isn't it? I'm just setting up these special waterproof cameras so that we can see the car wash working. Okay, the sensor must know I'm in the right place because the light has turned red. Whoa, look at that! Here comes the soap.
Look on my special cameras. You can see the soap pouring down. It looks a bit like a curtain.
Oh, here comes the water.
Can you see on my special cameras how the water is being sprayed? It's through little jets.
Wow! It's a bit like the shower you have at home, but this is spraying the water at a really high pressure, which means it's a lot more powerful. Listen to the sound! That is the sound of the water. That's really exciting! Ooh, now it's time for the brushes. The giant brushes are coming down, and then the sensor will tell them where the car is so it knows where to stop. Here we go again. Woohoo! The brushes are made from a soft foam so that the paint on the car doesn't get scratched when it's being washed. Here we go again. That is such a brilliant sound. It's like being in a thunderstorm. There's one more thing we have to do before cleaning the car is finished. What do you have to do after you've had a bath or a shower? That's right, you have to get dry. This is like being under a giant hairdryer. These fans blow air through nozzles to push the water off the car to make sure it's dry. And That's it. The car is clean and shiny. That was brilliant. I loved seeing how a car wash works. Did you? What was your favourite bit?
Can you remember what material the car wash's brushes are made out of? That's right, the brushes are made out of soft foam. Did you hear the sound the brushes made when we were inside the car? And safely? That's right, it was wrapped in this.
Oh, it makes a great sound, doesn't it? It sounds like an aeroplane taking off. But how does the hand dryer know when our hands are underneath? And how does it turn on to blow the warm air out automatically? I think we need to take a closer look.
Underneath the hand dryer is a sensor which shines a beam of light called infrared light. When we put our hands under the hand dryer, the light bounces back off our hands to another sensor. This tells the hand dryer our hands are underneath and it switches on. Inside the hand dryer is a motor powered by electricity. The motor spins a fan, which sucks air from outside in through the vents underneath. As the air moves over a heating element, it's warmed up, and the warm air is pushed downwards very fast out through the vent at the bottom. When we first put our hands under, a blast of air blows a lot of water droplets away from our hands. Then the warm air heats up the water left on our hands, turning it to steam. As it turns to steam, it moves away from our hands. This is called evaporation, leaving our hands nice and dry.
That's really clever, isn't it? Shall we take a look inside a hand dryer to see it working? Wow, look at that. Oh, and can you see the sensors? That's what turns the hand dryer on. Oh, shall we see the sensors working?
It's working. The invisible infrared light has bounced off my hand to the sensor.
When I put my hand underneath, the light turned red, and when I took it away, it turned blue again.
Next, the inner cover has been taken off.
Now we can see all of the parts inside the hand dryer, and this round bit is the motor.
And when the hand dryer turns on, the motor spins a fan.
And this is called the heating element. And if you look closely, you can see a silver wire that wraps around the heating element. That heats up. And when the air is blown past it, the air heats up too, and it helps to dry our hands really quickly. To show you just how quickly the heating element inside the hand dryer will heat the air up, I'm going to use my special camera. And this is a thermal camera, and it shows us how hot or cold things are. Can you see that at the moment the hand dryer is dark blue? That means that it's cold. Let's see how quickly the hand dryer warms up when I put my hands under the dryer. Ready?
Look, the colours are changing as the air heats up.
Oh, wow, look at that. Can you see the middle of the hand dryer where the heating element is bright white? That's because it's the hottest part of the hand dryer. The warm air helps to dry our hands really quickly, but most of the water on our hands is actually blown away at speeds of around 200 miles per hour. That's as fast as a race car going round a track.
Let's see that in action through my special slow-motion camera, which shows things slowed right down. Look at that! The air is so fast, it's blowing the water droplets away.
It's even making the skin on my hands wobble. The skin's moving like jelly. And there we go. Clean and dry hands. I loved seeing how a hand dryer works. What was your favourite bit?
Do you remember the part of the hand dryer that heats up the air? That's right, it's the heating element. Did you hear the sound the hand dryer made? It was like an aeroplane taking off. And did you see the water droplets being blown away on my special slow-motion camera?
Arrived safely. That's right, it was wrapped in this, so they're the right size.
Workshops and tools can be very dangerous, so you should never go near them without a grown-up. To cut the steel, Adrian is using a big machine called a bandsaw.
And can you see the really sharp teeth here? It's these teeth that will cut through the metal. But what do you think the bandsaw looks like? I think it looks like the wide open mouth of a crocodile. As the blade cuts through the steel, it gets quite hot.
This is because of something called friction, which happens when two surfaces are rubbed together.
It's a bit like rubbing your hands together. Give it a go. Can you feel them getting warmer?
When the blade cuts against the metal, the friction makes the blade hot.
So there's some water being poured over the blade to cool it down.
For our gate, Adrian cuts 4 metal bars for the frame and 7 rods for the middle. Next, he needs to put holes into the steel, ready for the hinges. For this, he's using a punching machine.
Did you hear that loud clunking sound? It's like a giant paper hole punch, only this one is much more powerful. Our gate is going to have a curved top, but steel is strong. So we're going to need a very strong tool to bend it with. It's called a ring roller. And now he's turning a screw, and that puts pressure on the metal. And next, he's turning a lever, and that moves the straight piece of metal backwards and forwards. And slowly, the metal starts to bend. Looks like a big smile, doesn't it? Our gate now has a curved top and some holes for the bolts. It's really starting to look like a gate, isn't it? But here comes the exciting bit, fixing everything together.
And to stick all the bits of steel together, Adrian is going to use this welding machine.
And it works by heating up small pieces of wire till they're so hot that they melt and act a little bit like glue. Welding creates lots of bright sparks, so we have to wear a welding coat to protect our clothes and a mask to protect our eyes. Wow, did you see all of the sparks? They looked like little fireworks, didn't they? But those sparks are really, really hot. But to show you just how hot the steel gets, I've got my special camera here. And this is a thermal camera. Now, cold things appear blue, but warm and hot things look yellow or red. But very, very hot things, they look white. So what colour do you think the sparks are going to be? Let's find out. Whoa! Look at that!
Where Adrian has been welding, the gate is red and bright white, but everything else is blue. That's because where the steel has been heated, it's much, much hotter. Adrian is creating a swirly pattern for a gate using a set of scrolling tools. These can bend steel into different shapes.
I think it looks a bit like a snail.
All that's left to do is weld the swirls into position and fix on the bolts.
Ta-da! And here we have our finished gate. All that's left to do is hang this on some hinges and it'll be ready to get used in someone's garden. What did you like most about seeing how the gate is made?
Do you remember what you call the metal that the gate is made from? That's right, it's steel. Did you hear the sound the punching machine made? And did you see my special camera when the sparks were flying? It was bright white and very hot.
Arrived safely. That's right, it was wrapped in this